All right, welcome back. Rolling out the last segment here of the Vegas Take. Again, a reminder, Tony Sanchez, UNLV head football coach, will join us tomorrow. Former Democratic presidential candidate and guys won multiple medals for his service. War veteran Seth Moulton will be joining us on the show tomorrow to make sense of, or lack thereof, of this troop withdrawal in Syria. So a lot lined up for you tomorrow, and we'll get some basketball guests to come on the show tomorrow. It's Mountain West.
Seth Moulton is literally one of the best people we could talk to about this subject.
Yeah, no question. And we'll also get some Mountain West Conference basketball guests, coaches, players to join us tomorrow as it's Mountain West Conference Media Day. Before we get to this baseball story, we didn't really get a chance to run down how our weekends went. JD, we like to do that, but we had so much to get to in our first segment this morning, but I had a chance to catch one of my favorite bands of the 90s, and in fact, probably my favorite band since I was a young kid, the band Live. They did a tour with Bush, and the guys from Our Lady Peace came in studio Friday, did a performance. It was really cool. So, you know, I know some of the guys in the band, so I get these, they're called meet and greet passes. Really what it is, you know, when someone says, hey, I got a backstage pass, people think, oh, I get to hang out backstage the whole show. No, that's not how it works. Basically what it is, it's a pass where you can go backstage after the show and meet the band, say a quick hello. That's why I called it a meet and greet, get a picture, get an autograph. So it turned out that, you know, we're hanging out after the show. I'm with a friend of mine, and nobody came down to get us. Usually the manager of the band needs to come down to take you backstage. Well, nobody showed up. There were about 12 people that were waiting, and we waited a good solid 20 to 30 minutes. And at that point, everybody left except for us, me and my friend. We were the only ones waiting back there, you know, to meet the band.
Female friend, right?
Yes, and basically everybody left. We're the only two people back there. This was at the Hard Rock at the Joint on Friday night. So we're waiting back there, and I got this vinyl that I wanted to get signed and everything. And my friend, she says, why don't we just go back there? All the security guards have left. Why don't we just go for it? I said, all right. If I'm going to say no, I'm going to look like a little wimp, you know? So I said, yes. All right, let's do it. So I didn't really know how to get backstage. So I just kind of followed her, and we're going back there. And whatever door we chose to enter was the door literally 10 feet away from where the band was hanging out in this room back there. And I'm like kind of intimidated for a second. I'm like, God, should we just go in there? She's like, yeah, they're right there. Let's go in. So we just walk right into the room. The lead singer of the band, Ed Kowalczyk, gets up. He shakes my hand. He sees I got a vinyl in my hand, and he could not have been nicer. He signs my vinyl. We're like literally the only people back there. And there was a woman that was sitting on his lap. I don't think it was his wife. But anyway, I'll leave that one alone. But yeah, we're just hanging backstage for like 15 minutes, hanging out with my favorite band, you know, since I was 12. So that was a pretty cool Friday. And I got to be honest with you, the last couple days, I did nothing. Usually I'm always out and about. I was thinking of going to the Vegas Golden Knights game against Calgary over the weekend. I just stayed in bed, caught up on some sleep, watched a lot of sports, watched a lot of football and baseball. So that's kind of how my weekend went. I actually needed it. I was kind of rejuvenated. My batteries were recharged, caught up on some sleep. And Friday night was, I mean, it's what, you know, think about your favorite band growing up as a kid, and you're able to be front row.
Backstreet Boys, NSYNC.
Well, I believe you. Actually, I know some people.
98 Degrees.
Our friend Tim Unglesby is a big friend of the show, is a big boy band fan.
Hanson.
Actually, the drummer, I read an article, the drummer of Hanson was in a very serious motorcycle accident.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but he's doing better.
His name is Zach Taylor.
The first time...
Isaac Taylor.
Scary to me that you know his name. But
Isaac Hanson, I'm sorry.
The first time I saw that song, Bop, on MTV, I thought the lead singer was a female. And I was actually attracted to her. But it turned out to be a guy. That's a true story, by the way. I really thought it was a female that was the lead singer of the band. But anyway, I don't really want to talk about Hanson anymore. But anyway, it was a fun weekend for me. It was a good time. Friday night was like an out-of-body experience. It was really amazing. JD, did you do anything even close to that besides, I don't know, watching football?
You know, I did not have any out-of-body experiences. I did a show with Ken Thompson over down at Legacy Stadium with him and with Brad Powers, and talked football for 2 hours on Friday night. Then Saturday and Sunday, I just wagered. I ate. I watched a ton of football. Saturday was good. I got to tell you, Brian, the product in the NFL right now, it is tough to watch. There are just too many flags. There's too many penalties. There's some teams that are just horrendous. They're just so bad.
Can I just interject and say what you're talking about?
You literally cannot watch them.
The end of the Chargers game, when the Chargers were trying to tie the game There must have been both sides of the football, like 8 flags in a row on 8 plays in a row. And the commentators were like, can we get through a play without a flag?
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the end of the Cowboys-Jets game.
Oh, yeah.
Where there was 5 flags in a row. Legitimately, I've never seen this before in my life. I've watched football for a long time. 5 flags in a row, 3 of which were holding. 1 was defensive pass interference. And then the actual flag that should have been called, which was Witten in the end zone,
right,
on the 2-point conversion, was not called.
By the way, just a side note, our producer Jason Stein, placed one of his first wagers since moving here to Las Vegas on one of those phone apps, a William Hill phone app, and he placed a wager on Dallas to win, the Dallas Cowboys to win the game. I just want to poke the bear a little bit here.
What,
yeah,
like 100 to win $30?
Yeah, it was really bad payout. And I got to tell you something, Garrett, the coach of that team, for longtime coach of the Cowboys, is one of the worst coaches in the NFL. He is one of the most underachieving coaches in the NFL. Maybe he's got some dirt on Jerry Jones. I feel like it's the Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin relationship.
Honestly, Brian, he's 80-62 as a head coach.
He's had monumental talent.
He's got 57% winning percentage. He's number 2 in Cowboys history in total wins. He's been there for 9 years.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
I disagree with your assessment there. They just don't have enough defensive talent.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question.
And I think Dak Prescott isn't really a gamer, and Ezekiel Elliott is very, very, very much overpaid.
Let me ask you a question then, and
right.
I'll translate it to basketball. What do you think about Mike D'Antoni as an NBA coach? You think he's a good coach?
I think he's he's definitely great at what he does, at his style.
You don't think he's underachieved at all, particularly in the playoffs?
He's been against the Warriors.
Mike D'Antoni.
He's been against
how about the Phoenix Suns
he's
teams?
He's been against one of the best teams in the history of the NBA, a dynasty, actual dynasty in the Golden State Warriors.
Well, I'm talking about before that, though, when he was coaching the Phoenix Suns.
When he had Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire and Sean Marion, that wasn't a championship team. He didn't have the talent, in my opinion.
I disagree.
And again, championships are won defensively. Look at the Raptors last year. Three ball and defense.
He's not a defensive-minded coach.
I agree. But he's very good at what he does.
Okay, you think
D'Antoni has basically ignited the interest in Houston basketball on a national scale.
Well, that's because he has James Harden.
Yeah, but he's leveraged James Harden.
There's a reason why I bring up Mike D'Antoni.
He's taking his abilities.
There's a reason why I bring up Mike D'Antoni.
And he's making the best of them.
There's a reason why I bring up Mike D'Antoni, because I think he's very similar to Garrett in the sense that they win a lot of regular season games, but when it comes to big games in the playoffs, they cannot win. Why? Because I don't think when it's all said and done, they are really good coaches. And I personally believe the Cowboys losing to the Jets is a disgrace. It is an absolute disgrace. The Jets are a bad football team. That is a disgrace. The Cowboys...
See, I would compare D'Antoni to like an Andy Reid. I think he's actually a higher level than Garrett.
I don't think Garrett is a very good football coach, and I understand you go by his record, and he has a winning record.
Andy Reid has been to the playoffs how many times? 75% in the last 10 or 15 years.
Well, he underachieves.
He does, and he's never won a championship.
He underachieves, too.
Just like D'Antoni. I think they're on that level. I think Garrett is below Andy Reid. So I think you're doing D'Antoni a disservice comparing him to Jason Garrett, because I think he's above Jason Garrett.
If the Cowboys don't make the playoffs, you think Garrett deserves to come back next year?
They're going to make the playoffs. But if they don't, he does not deserve to come back. But I believe they will make the playoffs.
And if they lose in their first game, bring him back?
Is it in the wild card game?
Yeah.
Most likely a wild. Well, I guess their division is pretty awful. You've got the Giants.
That's what I'm saying.
The Redskins.
Awful teams.
Well, and the Eagles.
How about the Redskins and the Dolphins yesterday? 2 teams that are 0-for. Something had to give there. 2 awful football teams. You're right. The product is not as good as it has been in years past.
There are some teams that you literally cannot watch.
I think there's way too many flags. I think the games take way too long.
And then you look at a team like the Patriots. They get every single penalty. Yeah. They get every call. They don't even need them.
Quickly, Monday Night Football. What's your play tonight?
I like the Lions to win the game outright. I'm taking them with the spread.
Wow, how about that? I wanted to talk a little bit. We only have a few minutes here about the solo shot in the Yankees game last night against Houston. Correa, I see nothing wrong with what he did. He kind of put his hand up, wanted to hear from the crowd like a second after he hits the home run, and now he's getting blasted and criticized for it. I think it's unfair.
That's jubilation. Correa was 3 of 22 in the postseason prior to that game.
It's a huge solo
He made
shot.
a huge play.
And I'm going to tell you something. That could get him going.
Yeah, exactly. He made a huge play on the ball that I think Brett Gardner hit pretty hard off his glove. It was an error by, I want to say, Altuve. Correa came over on his back, basically, threw it flat-footed 90 miles an hour and got and tagged out.
That was a great throw.
Or threw out DJ LeMahieu.
He did it defense and offense.
Yeah,
and
the third baseman coach should have never had LeMahieu go home, but he did. And he's not exactly a burner, but Correa played an outstanding game.
And Verlander was fantastic too. He made one mistake and Judge hit a 2-run jack, but other than that, he pretty much pitched a perfect game.
But it didn't even come. It came down to the bullpen.
Yeah.
The bullpen, who I don't believe are very good. They played exceptional.
Quickly, who wins today? Game 3, Cards, Braves. Or I'm sorry, not Cards, Braves. Braves are done.
Cards, Nationals.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You know, that's a tough one for me. Flaherty,
great pitching matchup.
Flaherty's had the best second half in arguably Major League Baseball history as a pitcher, but he got touched up in two starts ago. Strasburg's a monster. I gotta go Cards. I got to go Cards money line in this situation, but
I agree.
But I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch the game.
Back against the wall, I agree with you. I think Cards.
But I do think some runs are scored.
All right, fair enough. We'll catch you 21 hours from now. We're going to take a little break. Again, tomorrow on the show, UNLV head football coach Tony Sanchez and war veteran Seth Moulton will be joining us. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Sean Hannity coming up next.